Oh, okay. Simi, can you hear us? Can we please hear you speak so we can do an audio check?
Yes, I'm here, James.
Okay.
Oh, we're not hearing him very well, though. Caesar?
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We're working on the sound a little bit. Can you please speak again, Simi, so we can see if we can hear you better?
Yes, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Much better.
Great.
Caesar, did that screw anything up? No. Okay.
You're on.
All right, let's call to order Town of Basalt Planning and Zoning Commission, Tuesday, December 7th, the day of infamy, 2021. Roll call, please?
Sure, and at
Oh, it's
6:07, Bill Marin,
Yes.
Recording in progress.
Sorry.
Kyle Oberketter,
Yes.
Gino Rossetti,
Here.
Eric Volzek is absent, Michelle Tebow. Here. Rob Levitt.
Yes.
Cindy Hirschfeld.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, the minutes from November 16th, 2021. Does anyone have any changes, additions, or comments to make?
If
If
it's
not-
appropriate, I'll move approval.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have first, we have a second. Gino's first, Cindy's second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Abstain since I was not here.
Okay.
Motion passes. Okay. Item 3A, public hearing on application submitted by Sophie and Simi Hamilton.
Okay, this is, James, are you ready to start?
Let me please share my screen just a quick second here. Okay. Yeah, this is a public hearing on an application submitted by Simi and Sophie Hamilton. Sophie, if you want to come up to the chair there, that'd be great. It's for a special review application to add an attached accessory dwelling unit in the house they're remodeling at 117 East Homestead Drive. And you see it here on the vicinity map. It's located right here where my cursor is, and also point it out. Oh, my pointer's not working, apologize. The property subject to the application is the 117 East Homestead Drive. It contains a single-family house, as well that it dates back to the late 1800s. The property size is 10,600 square feet, and it is zoned R3TN. The applicant has the necessary building permits to remodel the house and do an expansion to the residence, and it is actively being remodeled, as P&Z saw in the late October site visit that you had. The proposal is to add an accessory dwelling unit in the main portion of the residence that was part of the 1800s house, as you can see here in the site plan. It's located in this area of the house. They propose for the main residence to have 2 parking spaces that would be accessed off an existing driveway. And they're proposing to construct a new garage on the west side of the house, as you can see where my cursor is. You can see it better on this plan. Here's the garage. The 2 parking spaces for the main residence are stacked in yellow. And then this parking space here is proposed for the accessory dwelling unit. They're proposing to satisfy the requirement that one of the 2 units be resident occupied, which is a requirement of the town code for an ADU. The review process is a special review, and it's required for an ADU in the R3TN zone district. The code establishes that the P&Z make a recommendation to town council on a special review request. In reviewing the application, staff has identified several discussion items that were in your staff memo. The first is consistency with the master plan. The 2020 master plan encourages integrating ADUs into existing neighborhoods and appropriate situations. Staff believes the proposal is consistent with that goal of the master plan. Staff also believes that it is a good reuse of the portion of the existing structure that was built in the 1800s instead of removing it, as has been the case in a couple lots in the R3TN. In terms of compliance with the R3TN zone district, the lot size is larger than the minimum 8,000 square foot that is required for an ADU in the R3TN zone district. Also, the ADU in the main house is within the dimensional requirements that are permitted in the R3TN zone district. There's a chart in your staff memo, and you can see it here on the screen, that identifies consistency with R3TN. Other discussion items included vehicular access as well as parking. As I noted, the vehicular access is from Homestead Drive in an existing curb cut, and the applicant is proposing to construct a garage and then have a driveway in front of it. And as I noted, there's 2 spaces proposed for the main house and then 1 for the ADU that's not stacked with a parking space for the main house. Staff has included conditions that any leases for the ADU be required to limit the tenants of the ADU to 1 vehicle, as has been required of other ADUs that P&Z and council have seen over time. Other topics, the deed restriction, there is a requirement in the code that one of the 2 units be resident occupied, and that there be a deed restriction recorded requiring that. So that's been included as part of the draft conditions, and the applicants have indicated that they propose to have one of the 2 units be resident occupied. And so staff supports the proposed special review. This evening, staff would recommend hearing applicant comments, taking public comments because it is a public hearing, and then providing commission discussion on the application. If the commission is comfortable with the conditions, you could make a motion to make a recommendation of approval to the town council. We have Sophie Hamilton here this evening in person, and we've got Simi on Zoom. Let me stop sharing here. Do you guys have comments for the P&Z or discussion for them?
I don't think we have any more comments. We read through what you sent, and yeah, about the renters having 1 car in total agreement with that, and yeah, I don't think we have anything else to add, unless you do, Sim.
No, I'm all good. I apologize that I can't be there in person tonight, but thanks for meeting on this matter, and yeah, we're here to answer any questions if you guys have anything.
Alrighty, let's have some commissioner comments, or questions, not comments, questions. Cindy, do you want to start?
I don't have any questions.
Okay,
I have a question of staff, but not of the applicant.
go ahead.
Have there been any objections to this?
Staff has not received any public correspondence at this point.
I mean, there is someone, Peter Staples and Howard are on here, so I'm not sure if they're They might be here to comment when we do the public
Packet,
hearing.
right?
There was nothing in the, no one called us and said they had any objections or anything.
Okay. Kyle, questions?
On the recommendation, ADU parking number 4, off-street parking space for use by the ADU shall not be stacked as represented by the drawing.
Correct.
So I guess I'm not clear then what's going on.
Sure. Let me go back to the visual that we have here. Just a quick second. So basically, the two yellow spaces here, this is the garage, and the two yellow spaces are for the main residence.
Yep.
And so they're not stacking an ADU space with a space of the main residence. And then the area in the garage that's identified in red here is proposed as storage. And so the area in green is the ADU parking space that's not stacked with one of the parking spaces for the main residence. And the reason there's been a requirement in the past to not stack the ADU space with the main residence is because, you know, they're separate units, and so if you had a space for the ADU and a space for the main residence stacked, it might create conflicts in terms of trying to get the first car out.
So that is the drawing from 11/29/2021, correct?
Correct.
And that is how you want it to be parked?
Yes, because the ADU is not stacked with the main
Shall
house.
not be Okay, I understand now what you're saying in this sentence. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions? No questions, Gino? Okay. Michelle?
No questions.
No questions? Okay, well, let's open this up for public comment at 6:20. If any members of the public wish to speak, please do so.
Yes, and we'll open it up in case someone that's watching online wants to participate. But if you're watching on TV, the best way to access the webinar is to go to the second page that's on your agenda, and there's a link to the webinar. And that will get you to the webinar. And then if you dial, I think Caesar has the phone number up there, the 346-248-7799, and the webinar ID is 849-1913-7609. And and if you do have a problem and you're watching on TV and you still can't access, text 970-379-1514, and we'll make sure that we'll get you contacted. So we should ask the folks that are watching, there's Howard F., Peter Staples, and Shelley from CO. If one of those, do you want to raise your hand feature if you would like to speak? So I'm kind of assuming that no one there wants to speak on the application. And are they elevated if they want to?
No, I can.
Why don't you just elevate a little bit?
Yes, if anybody in the waiting room has a comment on this application, you're now allowed to unmute yourself and speak.
Then again, if you are having trouble.
Peter Staples raised his hand and unmuted. Peter, do you have a comment for the P&Z?
Just I'm not sure why. We have owned the house 102 West Homestead. We have no objection. I'm not quite sure why my name was brought up, but I think it's a good proposal. 80 years, the way to go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Did you want to speak, or?
I just want to point out that the Howard F. is our neighbor from the Bassburg.
Oh, okay,
Probably
okay.
hanging on for our.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is Peter Staples
Peter Stables just
Stables will wanna
spoke.
speak. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay, and Shelley, I'm assuming that you don't want to speak on this, right?
Shelley's with them as well, is what they
Okay.
were saying.
Okay, all right. Okay, I think.
Okay,
we're-
so if there's no further comments, we close the public comment portion of the meeting at 6:21. And let's move on to commissioner comments. Michelle, would you like to start?
Sure. I'm so excited about the preservation of the historic aspect of the house. I think that's fabulous. And just in general, I think ADUs are important for creating a diversity of housing options in our town, and it's almost worth discussing, separate from this application, whether we should encourage more ADUs by streamlining this review process so they don't have to go to 2 public hearings. But in general, I'm in total favor of your application. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Gino, comments, please.
No, I think it's a marvelous solution to what's there and what's needed. I think the view from the ADU is gonna be fantastic. And if they build it like I think they are going to, I think it's gonna be a good project. I don't have any negative things about it at all.
Thank you, Gino. Kyle?
No comments.
Okay. Rob?
I agree with Michelle and Gino, nothing else to add.
Okay. Cindy?
Same, I agree, and also agree that I'd love to see more of this kind of thing with ADUs.
All right, thank you, thank you. I have a couple comments to make. First off, when you Google that address, Google has it completely wrong. They show 147, which is gone, and I know because I lived there. And so that's weird, but that's, so for anyone who knows, it's Cowboy's house, if anyone knew him. But I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I really think that having an ADU within walking distance of a transit stop is a wonderful thing, and whatever gyrations we have to go through to make the parking work is well worth it. And if, what Michelle says, if there's something we can do in the future to make this more of a streamlined process, that'd be a good thing just to bat that around this conversation. That's pretty much all my comments. If we're so disposed to.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. First, do we have a second? Gino, a second?
Per staff recommendation, right?
Per staff.
For staff recognition, yes,
Yep.
thank you.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye. No, passes unanimously.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, next item.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all. Next item is public hearing on an application submitted by Douglas G. and Marjorie A. McDonald.
You guys want to come up?
Thank you all very much for your support. We'll see you around town.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Simi.
And let me share my screen here, just a quick second. All right. This is a public hearing on an application submitted by Doug and Marjorie McDonald, and they are requesting approval of a minor PUD amendment and minor subdivision to combine lots 1 and 2 of the Pinion Hills PUD and establish the development right on Lot 2, as well as establish a building envelope on Lot 1 to add a future garage adjacent to the single-family house that exists. The property subject to the application is lots 1 and 2 of the Pinion Hills PUD, and it's located at 800 Pinion Drive, and you can see it up here. It's just adjacent to the Bassburg Townhomes at the top of Pinion Drive. As noted, Lot 1 has an existing single-family house, which you can see right in here, and the applicants reside in that single-family house. Lot 2 is a vacant parcel that you can see on the plat. For some reason, the computer's frozen. There we go. As you can see on the plat that's in your packet and on the screen, you've got 2 lots. Lot 1 has the existing single-family house, and Lot 2 is a vacant lot. It has a single-family development right that was part of the PUD. Both properties are zoned R2 PUD, and the applicant's proposal, as I indicated, is to combine the lots into one property and then extinguish the development right and the building envelope, which was located down here on the steep portion of the lot. And then they're proposing to establish a new building envelope for a garage to go along with the existing single-family house. Their P&Z conducted a site visit in late October to look at the property. In terms of the review process, it's a minor PUD, which requires P&Z make a recommendation to the council, and then there's also a minor subdivision action that is proposed to be wrapped into the same review process. So P&Z will make a recommendation to council on both actions. In reviewing the application, staff identified a series of discussion items that are in your staff memo. In terms of the request to combine the lots and eliminate the development right on Lot 2, staff is supportive of combining the lots and eliminating the development right, as Lot 2 is pretty steep. You can see it in this photo here. It's not too conducive to constructing a house without significant disturbance. And so staff is supportive of combining the lots and extinguishing that single-family development right. In terms of the expanded building envelope for a garage in the future, it's on a flatter portion of the lot. As you can see in the photo here, this area would be subject to that building envelope, and you also saw it in the field at the site visit. Staff has included conditions that the new garage would need to be within the dimensional requirements of the zoning, as well as require a TRC review of the design to ensure that it's compatible with the character of the existing residence, as well as staff has included a draft condition that the applicants on a future garage would need to meet the sustainable building regulations, as well as the wildfire mitigation requirements that were adopted by the town. On another note, staff thought it should be noted that staff is working on resolving a trail issue in the neighboring subdivision of Basalt Highlands, and it may be a potential solution to relocate a small portion of that trail in the neighboring subdivision that is outside of its easement onto this property. If it were agreed to by the applicants as well as staff, that would be the best solution. Staff and the applicants are still kind of looking at whether that would actually be the best solution to the issue that we have on the adjacent property. So staff wanted to note that if that was determined to be the best solution for this trail issue that we're having, that the TRC would work with the applicants to dedicate an easement if that was determined agreeable to both the town and the applicants. We just wanted to note that so that P&Z would know that that wouldn't be coming back to P&Z for dedication of another easement. And it may not be the best solution to the trail issue. We're just kind of exploring it as staff. Staff is supportive of the proposed application that you have in front of you. And this evening, we would recommend that you take applicant comments, that you take public comments because it is a public hearing. and provide commission discussion. And ultimately, if you're comfortable, you could make a recommendation to the town council. We do have Doug and Marjorie here this evening with us. Do you guys have additional comments for P&Z?
Well, I think James has done an excellent job of describing the situation, and I think most of the committee members have seen the site. So we just wanted to say that in addition to being able in the future to put a garage building on the site, we are also combining the lots to make it simpler for our heirs or future owners of this property to deal with it. I think many of you have seen the zigzag diagram showing the very odd shape of lot number 2, which is pretty much, I won't say useless, but if I were building a house, I certainly wouldn't want to put it on that lot. So we have no intention and never had an intention of using Lot 2 for a dwelling. I think probably the best use of it would be a garage. So that's why we're here. And we're happy to answer other questions if you have them.
All righty, let's start commissioner questions only. We'll do comments at the public hearing. So Cindy, would you like to ask any questions?
No questions.
Rob, questions?
I do have one question. I don't know if it's for staff or applicant, but is part of the condition for approval that only a garage can be built, or are we just calling it a garage for future's sake?
Well, it would be a building to store cars and other stuff, just
Could there
to
be
storage.
studio above or residence above and ADU above, or?
Well, it's zoned R2, so it only allows for one residence without a special review process.
Well, the last project I did in Aspen was a garage, it was a $400,000 garage that had an art studio above. And I'm just curious if that is something that is a possibility with this approval, or is it a separate approval?
It would be required to be an accessory building, so typically a studio or an art studio or some sort of office space would be allowed above
Would
an
be
accessory.
allowed.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should probably clarify that. If you want to have a garage with accessory space, we should probably just say that in the ordinance.
Well, I guess that would be up to the applicants.
We have no specific plans, timetable for it. Our objective was to get step 1 done, is to clarify the ability to do so and clean up this property.
And I'm just curious what we're giving approval for, whether it's strictly a garage or could it be other use?
Well,
Whatever we come up with, we'll be back with you guys to look at it, so.
Not if you get approval tonight.
Well, their application was for a future garage, okay? And so that's what
So all we'll be
yeah.
approving is a garage. and
that's
if
all
it's
you're
something
approving
else- okay.
is a garage.
Or if during the comments section you want to amend the language in this approval, you could put that in there if you wanted.
I don't have any problem with the garage, but I just wanted to know exactly what we're
Yeah,
approving.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it was advertised.
that's
to-
all.
My understanding is that if, in fact, we can go ahead with combining the lots, it becomes one lot, and then by definition, I don't think that it's possible to put another dwelling unit on that in that area.
That's correct.
But if we, and we'd have to confirm with the attorney, but if we wanted to, say, tear down the house and put the house, when we said the expanded area is for a garage, so if we actually wanted to use it for something else, we should at least advertise it at the town council level for, increased building envelope and not just limit it to a garage.
Well, I think that's up for P&Z consideration tonight.
And then we'd have to just double check with our attorney, because we advertised the P&Z, the applicant asked for expanded building envelope for a garage, so that's what we advertised. And that's what went out to all the neighbors and everything. And that's all we intend.
I just wanted to know what we were
Yeah.
giving approval to, and
Yeah.
if it's just a garage, that's
Yeah.
fine with me.
Yeah.
So,
Kyle, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. Gino, questions, staff?
Just one basic question for James. Having been out there on that site visit, I can understand where this came from. Ms. Catherine Christoph, she raises the points about the application and the proposed envelope encroaching on the steep slopes as well as, well, you read them, the three of them. Have you addressed them with the applicant? Have you
Yeah.
addressed these?
Yeah, the envelope is on the flatter portion of the site, as you've seen in the photo and on the site. She also mentioned that any drainage, related to a garage building built in the future would require a drainage plan. And that will be a requirement of the TRC review when they come back with an actual building design in the future, if they come back.
So you nor the applicant have any problems with that drainage and slopes? Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Gino. Michelle, questions?
No questions.
Alrighty, I do have one question of staff. Is this one motion or two?
That'd be one motion as a recommendation for both the minor subdivision and the minor PUD.
And you won't see it again.
Okay, so, okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I
So-
think that was one of the clarifications that James was kind of making, that, you won't see it again.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, because sometimes these things are in twos, sometimes they're
Yeah.
in one.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I get it. I have no questions of the applicant. Let's open up public hearing at 6:37.
And just again, if you want to speak, if you could raise your hand using the hand feature on the, I think most of you are in the waiting room there. And if you're watching on TV, if you have trouble accessing the Zoom link, if you could text 970-379-1514, and we'll make sure that you could speak.
Looks like we have one hand raised now.
Yeah, Shelley, we see your hand raised. Do you want to provide comments to the planning commission? You can just unmute yourself if you want to make comments.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, great. So I live in the Bossburg townhomes, in the building that's closest to Doug and Marge's, and I'm in full support of their proposal. I think it's all a good idea. So I approve it as a neighbor, and I hope it's approved by you all.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Please raise your hand. There's a hand.
Howard, would you like to make comments to the planning commission?
Sure, just a brief, similar statement. Also a neighbor at the Bossburg and fully support the application. That's it, no objections at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Howard. Since there's no one else in the waiting room and there's no one else in the room, yes, please.
I'd like to make just one more comment for clarity, and that is, as James said, we own Lot 1 and 2 of the PUD. That's the entire PUD. There's just 2 lots in it, so it's not part of a larger.
Thank you very much. Let's close the public comment portion of the meeting at 6:39. Let's have commissioner comments. Michelle, would you like to start?
Sure. I am generally in support of the application. I think it's great to combine the 2 lots and sterilize development on the lower, steeper area of the property. And I think the development standards for the future garage are well lined out. And thank you for considering having a trail easement go through your property.
Thank you, Michelle. Gino, comments,
I think it's
please.
a sensible request.
Thank you. Kyle, comments?
No comments.
Alrighty. Rob, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Cindy, comments, please.
Well, makes sense to me.
Okay. I do have one comment to make. Generally, I kind of like to keep our density levels where we wanted them in the master plan, but this is the perimeter of the city, right on the edge of the town limits. And so as we're increasing the density downtown where it belongs, I think doing something like this is appropriate, though it does make Aspenish kind of lots, you know, big house, big lots on the outside of town, but we still have limits on how big those houses can get. But I think the trade-off is well worth it, so I'm totally in favor of it. So if anyone wants to make a motion for this,
I make a motion to approve
as written?
as written
Okay,
by
Second.
staff.
so Michelle's first, Rob's second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Shelley and Howard.
Okay, where are we now?
We're on 5A.
5A. 5A is a public hearing on an application submitted by Renee Luan and on behalf of Gibson Placer LP LLC.
Yeah, and staff would recommend continuing the public hearing on this item this evening. The applicants had a noticing issue, so staff would suggest continuing the item since we don't have the correct public notice that has been done by the applicant. Staff did want to ask P&Z about whether P&Z had availability on January 3rd, which is
Fourth.
the 4th.
Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. Double check, maybe that's what I have.
Yes, January 4th.
And so what we thought we would do is if at least 3 of you can join on the 4th, is we would continue it, we'd continue it to the 4th. The issue is a little bit of a timing issue for Heather's because they wanted to put the pergola in so that they could eliminate the need to rent a tent from Bethel. So they wanted to do the pergola and, you know, the plastic covering and everything. And, you know, they came in on a Friday and had indicated that they missed the public hearing notice. So we don't want to continue it out too far. So, you know, the other thing we could do is continue it till December 21st, thinking that we weren't going to have a meeting, but, you know, working on a date that might work for everyone.
Well, let's do a show of hands of who would be available on the 4th, because that came up first.
I think so. For the 4th?
The 4th.
Sure.
Gino, or would you be available on the 4th of January?
4th of January will be available, yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
so it's like all of us.
so we should continue it to the 4th, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
4th would be great.
It seems like it makes sense to do it sooner for their,
Yeah.
Yeah. But you
Well-
can't meet the public noticing requirements in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have to do a mailing, so they've got 15-day requirements, so 4th is the next time they would actually work, yeah.
So someone want to make a motion to continue?
Motion to continue.
Okay, Kyle's first.
Who was first?
Kyle.
Kyle, okay.
Cindy's second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
And then if you could maybe email us if there's some information, you know, obviously, we're gonna wanna take this item up at the next, on the 4th. So if there's something additional that you want, or you have a question, if you could let us know, that would be helpful.
I'm sorry, what would you,
I was just saying, if you have any additional information that you want, or you have a question, why don't you email us ahead of.
about this application?
Yeah, about this application, because we wanna make sure that it's not something that we have to go and continue.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I did not quite understand what the motion, what are we doing on the 4th?
We're going to take this item up again because they didn't make their mailing deadlines.
Is that part of this paper?
Yeah, this is just our agenda for tonight. So the last agenda, which is Heather's,
Oh, okay,
which is a pergola and a
thank you.
temporary thing.
Can they put up anything for Christmas time, or they're stuck with nothing now?
There's nothing now, right?
And
I'm sorry.
Are they allowed to use a tent for Christmas, or no, they're?
Well, they
no,
could have a tent, he's just trying to get away from renting the tent. You know, we have procedures for how to, temporary outdoor structures, and he was trying to do something more permanent, so he didn't have to rent the tent.
Okay, so could we get a little more detail on what they're proposing to do other than that picture with the little red lines?
Yes, we can ask them for that. You're talking about a photo simulation or something? of
Not
that
even
nature?
that, just like something similar.
Okay.
You know, a photo simulation would be nice, but that's kind of a lot of work for something this small, but something that shows a character of what they're trying to do for us to see.
Staff will talk to the applicants about that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And if they're gonna show the line should at least meet when they do it.
And if there's any lighting,
Okay.
Or covering the walls,
The walls are proposed to be seasonal vinyl walls, like a tent structure. Yeah.
Like Tempranillo.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to see with that? Okay. All right, what do we have next? We have, let's get back to the whole agenda. So we get to the bottom of
comments and
it.
updates.
Yep, we're commissioner comments and staff updates.
Okay, so, work is progressing, but no major change from what we were reporting at the last meeting. Free Range is getting ready to obtain a CO, and they're very hopeful of having some soft openings the week of like the 14th. We'll see, because the inspections are going on as we speak. Both BCC, the 67 apartments over here with the grocery store, and Sobers Meadows Parcel 5 are preparing their application materials. And so Sobers Meadows Parcel 5, they're working on traffic counts. And the town added, kind of tag teamed on some speed studies. So we you'll see counters. You'll see counters and the things that you drive over for a speed study. So we're doing it on two places on Willets Lane, one place on Evans, and one place on East Valley Road. Basalt Affordable Community Housing is having a work session with the town council next Tuesday, and they're going to be talking about changing the parking requirement for affordable housing units. They're going to be, the town council was interested in changing the mitigation requirements, and they're going to explain their reasoning for holding off on that for now until there's more study. Bach will also be working on the affordable housing piece on the bond money that we have. What else, is there anything else I should mention about Bach's work session?
Yeah, the other thing to note is Bach is going to recommend to the council that we bring forward code amendments to change the affordable housing mitigation exemption that reduces the mitigation requirements with a RETA on for rent projects, which is, P&Z discussed that as part of the BCC project. So they would like to clean that up.
The requirement?
Well, currently, there's an exemption in the code that if you do a 1.5% real estate transfer assessment, that you get to reduce your mitigation requirements from 25 down to 15. But on rental projects that, you don't get as much bang for your buck with the RETA exemption. So Bach is recommending getting rid of that exemption for rental projects.
Do we have or looked at actually doing a study on that? Because that may not be true, even though it doesn't happen as often. I mean, commercial rates are extremely low and very lucrative, especially in valleys like this. So I'd be careful that we double check that. I mean,
Sure.
Things sell at below 3 caps in this area, and that's a lot better than a single family house would. So.
It'll come through as code amendments if council is supportive of looking at that, and so it would come to P&Z and council ultimately. But we'll have that information before it comes to P&Z.
And Parks, Open Space, and Trails was just post. They meet tomorrow. We have out there the request for bid proposals for the landscaping for the Basalt River Park. So that's out. So we're hopeful that people will be growing some good stuff over the winter. But tomorrow they're gonna meet and kind of review the different features that are part of the park. Basalt Forward, 2030, that's marching along. If you remember the Midland Avenue streetscape, we're gonna have a major role with the P&Z on reviewing the design on the Midland streetscape. We have a RFP out just for the solar project. We have another RFP, it's not a Basalt Forward 2030 project, but we have two RFPs on childcare. One is for the design. We actually had proposals submitted to us for the design for a childcare facility on parcel 2E. That's the one across from Taka. And then we have another RFP to help us select a provider that could do a lot of work in terms of grant fundraising and developing the program. A lot of building permits, just wrapping up for the year. You know, the developers of Basalt River Park are hopeful to get their remaining permits. Stotts Mill is, they have 2 buildings that they're hoping to get building permits in soon. Anything else, James, I should mention? The car wash has to be, they'll actually start construction in 2022. Anything else we should mention?
I did want to respond to questions on the fields that we had at the last meeting. We were able to get Eagle County Engineering to respond about what they're doing with the grading out there. They are actually making the berm between Highway 82 and the property a bit larger, and they had a grading permit with the county to do that. Apparently the application itself, they're still responding to referral comments, and so it's not scheduled as of yet for the development application that was on the site. They're making the berm bigger through a grading permit that they got with the county.
With the apparent completion of the hardscape, will we be able to take down that fencing and along the way and open that up a little bit for the public?
Yeah, we have to talk about what fencing, obviously the front fencing is gonna be taken out, and I think we have to talk about what fencing will remain. So I think we have to work through that a little bit. But obviously in front of where the restaurant is, that fencing will all be eliminated.
I mean, the public has gone through 3 years of ugly fencing.
Yes, yes.
Sure.
And you won't, I mean, you know, there's so much construction going on in the back, so that back walkway right behind the buildings, that won't be ready till the end of 2022. You won't be able to walk right behind the buildings like you did before.
The other question, I thought I saw something in the earlier design where they had a new, more appropriate winterized public toilets. I don't see them.
Yes, those are part of the Phase 2, Gino, and we're having an architect design the new public restrooms. They'll be potable water, real restrooms, in conjunction with the bus shelter. So that's
Okay.
all, like if you pictured kind of midway where the buses pull out, it's right in there. And there's a hole cut out where the bus stop is and a hole where the restrooms are. Just be 2.
It's good.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Okay, do we have any commissioner comments to make? No?
What's the status of Stedman Clinic?
They're looking at February.
Wow.
And then the bank, James, do you have an ETA on the bank?
They're looking early 2022 as well, yeah.
I have some comments I'd like to make. I'd really like to, I'm glad the town is getting its act together with daycare just in time for my youngest children to get accepted to college. But that's still a good thing for the next round of people. It's really, truly a great thing. It's something Basalt really needs. And also, speaking for all of us, I'd like to give a heartfelt farewell to Caesar, our grassroots technician. Good luck on your future ventures. And with that, motion to adjourn.
And one other thing, the little holiday thing is just a thank you from us, and it's a gift certificate to cost, so
Oh, thank you.
don't lose it because your name isn't particular to it, but you can regift it.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion.
Cindy's first. Do we have a second to adjourn?
I'll second.
Michelle's second. All in
All
favor?
in favor, good.
Aye.
Let's go.
We're done.
Hey,
Oh, short and
6:57.
sweet.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody.
5 minutes early.
know what's
Yeah, fun to see you.
Well done.
Free range?